You gonna help me study?
Hey guys, and welcome back to Flurt. I hope that you're having a really good start to your week. And this week I am going to be sharing with you guys some of my study tips. Now granted, I have gone through a few different colleges and universities, so I have heard a bunch of different methods, and then on top of that I've also been able to find some online that have been really helpful and that I've actually been utilizing this year. But by all means, I am not a student role model, I guess you could say. I still do procrastinate a lot, and I'm working on it. One thing that's really nice about going to smaller schools or like community colleges is that usually their academic success centers are really wonderful. I can't speak for big universities because I've never been to one, but if you go to your academic success center, chances are they will be willing to help you. If you have test anxiety and stuff like that, it might be beneficial for you to try to do. Otherwise, even just going to the Academic Success Center to work on time management and work on other study tips that maybe work better for your personality and the way that you learn could be beneficial to you. I am personally a hands-on learner. I learn best by actually doing something, gaining experience from it. If you sit in front of me in a lecture hall and talk to me the entire time and there's no engagement of conversation and it's literally just the professor telling me what the notes are, I retain absolutely nothing. But even for the gen ed courses that you probably could not give two craps about, still somehow make yourself engaged in the conversation, even if it's not a topic that you care about. Like, you're not going to like every single class that you're in, and if you are, congratulations, kudos to you. But I still will occasionally find classes that I'm not as into, and so you have to somehow make yourself want to do it, because a lot of classes focus centrally around tests and homework, and something I've really improved on this year is just making sure to actually engage myself in the conversation. It's really easy to just kind of sit in the classroom and relax and not really be there mentally. I found that I have started learning a lot better by actually engaging myself, even if I am sitting in the back of the classroom, which I do in a couple of my classes. So it's a lot easier if the professor is asking like opinion questions for me to speak up and put my thoughts in, because then I usually get the feedback that I'm looking for and I can get other students' feedback. So basically, involving yourself in conversation is a really good idea. One really good tip for when you're in the classroom is, while you may be sitting in a lecture hall with a bunch of notes being just thrown up on a screen, really what's going to be the most important thing is what your professor is actually saying and not what's necessarily on the slides. Sometimes your professor will read off the slides and be one of those people, but really, usually after they read like a bullet point or something, they'll go into a little bit more detail. And so one thing I've stopped doing during class is writing down everything on the PowerPoints, because it does absolutely nothing. What I do instead is I write down the bullet points that my professor is marking, and then if they give some little quirky way of making you remember, I write that down as well, because I retain weird things better. As far as studying outside of class, trust me, it is one of my biggest weaknesses. And struggling with ADD and anxiety and depression, it's hard to sometimes engage yourself into the material outside of class because you just aren't motivated to do it anymore. Sometimes your meds wear off by the time you're able to get to your homework. So usually I like to dedicate my entire Sunday to doing homework and trying to get as caught up through the week as I can, so that I don't have to worry about it later on in the week, so that I can sit down and have my medicine working when I'm doing it. But sometimes it still doesn't happen. Sometimes I still have to motivate myself somehow to get to to that point. A couple good ways to study outside of class so you can engage yourself better and actually kind of retain information. Like for example, I'm taking a German class this semester. So I actually make a bunch of note cards with vocabulary and the questions and sentences so that I can practice my speaking, the meanings. So like for example, I have a test coming up on Wednesday, so I did a note card that says age, which is how do you ask what somebody's age is. And then on the back it says the question in German. And then I will do it out loud and I'll be like, okay, how do I say age? Wie alt sind Sie? There you go. And then because I struggle a lot with motivation, I usually try to do some kind of point system or like dual rewards. I usually go buy a bag of Skittles, and every time I get an answer right, every time I do a chunk of my homework, I'll give myself a Skittle to kind of reinforce positive behavior, because even college students need to do it too. The reward system I also do when it comes to reading, because I have a really hard time keeping myself engaged in what I'm reading and making sure I'm actually doing everything. So after each big chunk, like a paragraph, or if it's 2 short paragraphs, I do that. I'll give myself a Skittle for doing that. When I was first doing this, I let myself have some alcohol. I remembered by the end though, because I didn't let myself chug it. Like I said, I'm not the star student, and obviously some of these are going to be different for everybody. These are just what personally work for me, and I know a lot of these you've probably heard over and over and over, but the thing is they actually work. But you can't just stick to one method of studying. You've got to kind of switch it up and figure out what works for you. If you're absolutely struggling though, and you've still, after all of that, can't figure it out, like I said, a good resource is like the counseling center that can lead you to academic success centers on campus. If you know where the academic success center is, go there. Or if you go to like a smaller college and you're on really good terms with your advisor, even talking to your advisor is a good idea. Find out what drives you and what's going to keep you engaged, keep you going. But I can tell you right now, the more engaged you can make yourself into the material, the better you're probably going to be. So that's my little spiel. Hopefully this helps somebody. If not, I'm really sorry. Maybe this could help you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and I'm always open to different ideas on vlog topics. So if there's a current event going on, if there's some kind of topic you want to hear about, if you want advice, just shoot me a tweet right here and I will make it happen. To everybody doing midterms right now, best of luck, and hopefully if you've already passed midterms, you can use some of these for your finals or upcoming tests. I know I'm probably about to get bombarded with a lot of them, so I'm gonna go study now. I will see you guys next Tuesday. Have a great rest of the week, you guys.